Okay, so we're going to start with a breath technique called coherent breathing. Some of you have done this with me before, and it's a breath technique where the inhale and the exhale are of equal length, and we breathe at 5 breaths per minute. So the whole breath cycle is 10, what are we talking about? 10 seconds, 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. Is that right? Yes. Or no, 6 breaths a minute, so 5 in, 5 out. And research has shown that when we breathe at this rate, the heart rate comes into coherence with the breath, which has a very calming effect on the mind and the body, so physiologically and neurologically as well. And so what that means is that if you look at a trace of the heart rate, it syncs with the breath. Because normally when we're breathing, the heart rate is slightly variable, which is why you see the difference kind of in traces. It's not a uniform kind of peak waveform that you see. But coherent breathing brings it into coherence. Which as I say, is good for our physiology. It's also really good for resilience. So at this time, now we've got this extended sort of period of lockdown, but some people returning to work and all of the stress that's involved with that. Learning some resilience skills so that we can manage the stress response in our body feels a really powerful technique, and it's so simple, as you'll see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lead us through a few rounds of breath to get us to that rate, because if you just try and drop into the rhythm straight away, it can be a little bit tough. And then I'm going to put on the chime track. And the chime track there's a major chime, and then there's kind of a little bit of almost reverb, and then the next major chime. It might take you a couple of rounds to hear the rhythm. It took me a couple of rounds to get used to it. So don't worry, you don't have to drop into it straight away. And your experience with this breathing technique will be your experience. It's not necessarily going to be super calm. Some people experience that straight away. Some people have different effects. Whatever you're feeling, the coherence will be happening. But as I say, if it makes you feel a little bit agitated at times, then just see if you can go with that. If it feels super uncomfortable, then drop out of the breath and just drop into a pace and a rhythm that feels comfortable for you. Ideally, we're breathing in and out with the nose, but I'm very aware that it's hay fever season and some people are really congested. So if it feels too difficult to breathe in and out through the nose, then we will just adjust and breathe out through the mouth when you need to, or in through the mouth even. So let's just get really comfortable to begin with. Make sure that you're warm. Let the eyes softly close. And then just for a couple of times, kind of screw your face up, screw your eyes up, screw your hands up, tense your feet, tense all of the muscles into the bone. And then exhale and release. Do that a couple of times so that when we come into starting this breath practice, the body is really soft and really released. And just start feeling your breath in your body, that sense of a soft inhale and an exhale. And then we'll build up to the rate of coherent breathing. So if you want to come with me, we're going to inhale, 1, 2. Exhale, 1, 2. Inhale, 1, 2. Exhale, 1, 2. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. Exhale. I'm going to pop the chime track on, keep breathing. And once the chimes come in, let those guide you rather than counting. See if you can just focus on the chime to guide rather than the mental activity of counting. We're coming to the end of the coherent breathing. To stop the chime track. It's a little bit sudden, but just let the breath settle now. It's going to take a little bit of time to find the rhythm that's not being prescribed by the chimes. So take your time. And then when that rhythm feels settled, maybe draw the knees into the chest. Give them a little hug in. And then just, gently moving from side to side. And then when you're ready, just roll over onto one side and then stay on your side for a few rounds of breath. Just we can lie down for a long time. And then when you're ready, yes, slowly bring yourself up. Bring your head up last. And just give yourself time just to kind of absorb that breath and how it's made you feel. I'm just going to put my earbuds in so I can go back to the mat. So bear with me. You still hear me? Can you hear me? Cool. Just checking. We've lost Hannah. I'm not sure what happened there. Before we come into our first shape, just be interesting. How did you guys find that? I've unmuted you, I think. Unmutable, yeah. How was that breath for you?
It worked for me. I don't think I could hear all of the chimes though. I'm not sure if I could hear some, but they were quite far apart. So I just followed with my counting and I found that really helpful.
Good. How about you, Jenny?
I found it really helpful. I feel quite spaced out actually.
Yeah, okay. We're going to come into restorative poses. And it's a chime track on Spotify. So just really easy breath. And it will make you feel a little bit spacey because your heart and breath, the nervous system's kind of like come straight down. Right, I'm going to put you guys on mute again just so we don't get any feedback. So yeah, straight into our next restorative pose. So we'll take reclined supported Baddha Konasana. Reclined cobbler's pose. So depending on what props you've got, you can either do the sort of classic quite high up Baddha Konasana, and we'll bring the soles of the feet together and support the outer thighs. Or if you've just got one kind of bolster or cushion, that's fine. You'll want something under the back of the head to support. If you've got any lower back issues, I find it helpful just to have the just a little bit of a lift. So even if it's a book propping up or a couple of books, and then you're lying back down, and you guys have been practicing for a while, so you know what you're doing, but just as a reminder, lying back down, soles of the feet together, and really important that you support the outside of the thighs, so rolled up blankets or cushions, just so that you can let the inner muscles of the legs soften and relax. And then the hands on the belly, down by your side, wherever's comfortable. And actually, I quite like having my hands on the kind of hip creases. Just that added a little bit of extra weight. Yeah, just like that. So this is nice after the coherent breathing, because in this kind of opening of the front body is that gentle stretch of the diaphragm. And once you settle into the shape, can you get a sense of that kind of softening and dropping down
into the pelvis. And really be very mindful of the solar plexus area and the belly, really making sure that they're soft. And keep checking in with that, because what I find tends to happen is you start off and you consciously relax those areas, and then something happens and tension creeps in without you even realizing it. Right, let's put my timer on. Keep coming back to that feeling of sort of dropping into the body and allowing the breath to just happen. And in our restorative practice, I guess just as in a more yang practice, we're not trying to control the mind or grip, just as we don't want to grip with our muscles, we don't want to grip with our mind as well. We just try and be soft. Any thoughts, just acknowledge them, but try not to get caught up with them. And if you do, just recognize that's what's happened. Maybe come back to a focus on the breath. Such a valuable tool for anchoring into the present moment. Last few moments in Baddha Konasana. And then when you're ready, very gently bring your hands onto the outside of your thighs and draw the knees together, taking it slowly. And then depending on how you're propped, how high you are, either just use your hands either side of your hips to bring yourself upright, or if it's more comfortable to roll on the side and then bring yourself up, do that. Take it slowly, bring the head up last. And then we'll take a gentle twist. So if you've got a bolster or the equivalent, just straddle it. And we'll take the right hand onto the kind of right hand side of the bolster, left hand onto the front. Nice inhale, feel like you're drawing up through the head, and then gentle twist. Trying to keep the chest really broad here. We're stretching through the front body. And the twist is coming from the thoracic spine. And then just while you're in the twist, can you notice has any tension crept into the neck or the jaw? If it has, just maybe open the mouth and wiggle the jaw around a few times. And then we're going to come back to center. Take a moment here and then take it over to the other side. Just to rinse out. And then gently come back to center. Lovely. So we're going to take child's pose now, so that we come forward, because we've been quite open for most of the practice. So a couple of options with a child's pose. Remember, if plantar flexing the feet like this is problematic, then rolling a blanket up to pop under the ankles can be quite nice, like so. Equally, if your bottom is quite a long way away from the heels, blanket or cushion can support. And then a couple of options, either have your bolster, or you may even need two bolsters lengthways and just come and lie over them and turn the head to the side. Or your other option is to have the support horizontal and use that with the arms. Just make sure that the forehead is resting and the nose is free. And then just really feel like your sit bones are drawing back behind you so that you're lengthening out through the lumbar. And it can take a little while to settle into this one, I find. And it's almost like it takes a little bit of time for the muscles around the spine to soften and settle. For the shoulders, or the muscles around the shoulders and the shoulder blades to release. So just stay with the breath. And depending on kind of which setup you've got. If you've got your forehead resting on a horizontal bolster, it can be really nice just to gently roll it from side to side, just massaging out any tension in the forehead. If your head's to one side, I'll cue you when we're about halfway through, so give you the option of turning so that the twist in the neck balances out. So if you've got your head turned to one side, maybe just gently lift it up and slowly turn it to the other. And just see how that feels, because it's going to be stiff. And it will be the stiffer side. Last few moments in child's pose. And then very slowly, when you're ready, use your hands to support you and bring yourself back up to a seated position, head up last. Take it really slowly. And then take some breaths here. And then we're going to come down to penultimate poses, which are a supine twist. And then from there, we'll move straight into Shavasana. So what we want for our supine twist is bolsters or rolled up blankets either side of the mat, because we're going to have our knees bent and we're going to drop them over to one side. So we want to have a support for the outside thigh of the side we're dropping over to. The other thing that I like to do, kind of depending on how bony your inner knees are, is to actually have a blanket in between the knees just to soften. And then depending on how much space you've got, you can either have the hands out wide or into goalposts. Again, it can be nice to have something on the back of the head. If you're on carpet, then that's lovely. If you're on hard wooden floor, then spread a blanket out so you've got softness on the backs of the arms. And then just gently bring yourself down to that lying position. Take a moment to kind of get comfortable here. And then drop your knees. We'll drop them over to the left to begin with. And you want to make sure the outside of the left thigh and the left hip are nice and supported. So just play around so that it feels super comfortable. Your right shoulder wants to be down. So you may want to just kind of lift both shoulders up and square the chest to the center. And then bring the arms into that goalpost or wide shape. And the other thing that can be nice to do, if you have enough blankets, is the side that you are leaning away from, just kind of pushing a blanket onto that lower back area. It can feel really comforting. If you start to feel a little bit cold. And then gently in your own time, draw the knees back to center. And then we'll drop them over to the other side. Last few moments in the twist on this side. And then gently draw the knees back to center. You may feel like you want to give them a little hug into the chest. And then we're going to set up for final rest, final Shavasana. So set yourself up with any props that you need under the backs of the knees, under the back of the head. Extra blanket, that would be nice. And then bring yourself down. And I should have said, actually, if you feel like you want to be in Shavasana, I'm going to run slightly over because we started a little bit late. But if you want to turn your camera off and be in Shavasana longer, then please do. Otherwise, come to lie down. And just as with the experience with the other postures, take your time to get settled. Into this final act of surrender and letting go. And then very gently start to bring awareness back into the body. Get that sense of the body resting down on the ground. And just as the body is resting down, the earth underneath you is holding you, applying an upward pressure. So feel that balance. And then allow gentle movement to come back into fingers and toes. If you feel ready, if you feel like you want to stay in Shavasana, then do. I'll carry on cueing for those that want to come out. Very gentle movements, starting to wake the body, stretching, lengthening. And then rolling onto one side. Taking a few breaths there with the knees bent. And then gently and slowly pressing your hands into the floor. Support yourself as you come up into that upright position. Bring the head up last. And just sit in the way it's comfortable, so that might mean propping the hips. Just resting the hands down. Just taking these last few moments just to let everything settle. Now you're back upright. And just before we go, you may have seen this because I posted it on Harbour's social media, but I just wanted to share a quote that my teacher from my yoga therapy training closed our session with on Sunday evening. And she said, "Drink from the nectar of this time, even if not every moment is sweet," which just resonated with me a lot, because not all the moments feel sweet at the moment, but there's nectar to be found. And for me, my restorative practice is definitely one of the sweet moments. And it's a real privilege to share it with you. Gently draw the hands to heart center, bow your head. Take a moment in gratitude. And softly lift those thumb knuckles to forehead center, keeping the head bowed. Thank you.